it looks a lot cooler when it's not in its case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like that case of yours.
Yeah, it's not the best, but it keeps my shit from breaking the ding. Oh yes, nature. Wooden thing. We can get it.
Yay.
Nice.
And the wind just goes.
Yeah. Oh man, this is cool. I'm wondering what this is gonna sound like.
It's gonna sound like your mom.
You're my mom. Artie's been giving you seen the regular shows that we were referencing there? Oh.
I don't know, every little boy ever.
There's a thing on the regular show, and it's like this dude called Muscle Man.
Yeah.
And I don't know where or what it comes from. I think he kind of like takes the piss out of himself because somebody burned him real bad once upon a time. But he basically just turns every joke into like, do you know who else does that? My mom. And Artie got a hold of it. And he just like he says words at the start. He'll be like, yeah, do you know who else was it? My mom. And then eventually like it's like some sort of like fucked up DMT acid trip. He just speeds up and he skips the intro and he just starts going, my mom, and just like laughing. And you're like, I know in your world this is the best thing ever. In my world it's like you're getting more annoying by the second. It's like borderline infuriating, but I need to just let you have your thing right now, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You really do.
It's one of those things. Get out.
Fun.
No.
Oh no, sand.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm trying to look after my stuff better and love it and appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
I've been getting into like visualization and manifesting his shit way more lately. It's been another big part of my last week or so without Zon that's been going on.
Yeah.
And it's been a really cool development, like just learning how to like get into it. Joe Dispenza's shit, like.
Oh yeah. See, I can't visualize shit. I can only feel it.
But that's
the same thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, I wish I could. I don't know. When people manifest, do they genuinely see like a movie play out in their head? 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't see that. And mine's darkness. I see darkness.
But I mean, do you have specificity though?
Yeah, like I can feel, but I can't see it. I can just feel it. Like I know what I'm meant to be seeing, but I don't see it. Does that make sense?
I mean, that could just be because of like your brain type. Like, not everybody does visualize stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you see images in your head usually?
No.
Well, then, yeah. There you go. But I mean, images that you see in your head, it's not like.
But even when
It's memories, you know? It's
even
like,
that, I'm like telling myself of the memory. I know I've seen it before, but I don't see it. But I can tell myself describe it to myself.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's
that's
like
what
more
it
of
is
a
for
knowing.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is for me as well. Like I'll be like lying in bed thinking about like retiring mum and dad, or like good call, or like
I was like, oh wait, sorry.
fucking posture. I'm gonna help myself out here. I can't. But yeah, I'll think about that and I'll just picture a scenario. But like I've never seen that, you know.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
like
right.
you know, getting mum a mini, or like doing a show for like fuck a few thousand people or some shit. Like that's all stuff that I've been like feeling and thinking and visualizing, but I don't know exactly what that looks like. But I can use past memories and piece it together, and then the feeling is like the real shit. Like
Yeah.
if you're feeling that feeling of what it would feel like to have that, then you're basically like that's where all the juice comes into it in terms of like your frequency, the way your body feels, like in terms of healing and stuff, like feeling like what it would feel like to be healed and how you would feel lying in bed being like, oh, I'm all better, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it's so crazy because it's that simple, but it's like, it's not that simple in terms of staying in that state of mind is hard, but doing it a little bit each day
Yeah.
And staying consistent with that, I think, is the key. So I've just started, like, before I go to sleep and when I wake up, I just do stuff. Because they reckon those are the most, like,
Yeah.
those are the most important times if there is a most important time. Obviously, all the time is the most important time, but, like...
Yeah, but that's going in because your sleep is when you're going into your subconscious.
Yeah.
And first thing when you wake up, it's like that reprogram it needs to be at those, because that's where your brain's more like, ding ding, hello, we're waking up, what's going on? It sets them.
Yeah. Literally, I heard a thing the other day and it was like you your physical life is a dream that your spiritual self is having. You've never left the spiritual. You're just dreaming that you're here.
Okay.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why, like, your
wild.
dreams. So your dreams are essentially. I was talking to this guy that works happy the other day. Yeah, it's so funny. He goes, oh yeah, I'm not feeling the best today. I was just like, lots of really tough stuff happened in my sleep last night. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you know, I'm pretty good in this life, but it's my dreams where I go back and I'm sorting all the shit out. He's like, I was like, tell me, do tell. I was like, tell me more. And he's like, you know, I'm always going back to India in my dreams, and like, because he's Indian. He's like, I'm always helping out the poor and like fixing all the shit for my family line. Like, he's like, and I do it in my dreams. He's like, I'm such light worker, like describing it. And I was reflecting on it later, and I'm like, yeah, because like all this stuff, you know, when you have real vivid dreams.
Yep.
And it's like, I feel like part of what you can't face in your daily life gets sorted out in your dreams. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what if dreams is just like more real life? Mm-hmm. It's just like on this alternate, it's just the more spiritual realm, because our body's not with us in that realm.
Yeah. God, you can't argue with it, can you?
No.
Dreams are like pretty subjective.
But like in the way that, okay, wait, hold on. I'm thinking as I'm about to say this. Mm-hmm. Do you think we all just have like our own little universes?
I think that.
And like dreams are just a different blip on the timeline, or like an alternate timeline.
I don't know anything about it.
But what would you?
My general feeling is that in this physical world, we all do have our own universes, because we're like so separate from one another. We have the same basis for experience, but we all are having it from our own point of view. So I think in that way we have our own universes. However, in terms of the dreamscape, or where your consciousness would go while your body is asleep, I would probably say that it's like, yes, there could be individual experiences that the soul could have while it's journeying in order to further its development. Like, it could be going to other places and doing other things, places that could be similar to here, like other planets, other dimensions and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think that there's also a sense of oneness that is present when your body isn't a part of it, that has to always be weaved in there somehow. Not necessarily like when you dream you automatically go back to being part of the one, because I think that's like, it's just like this experience where the soul or the spiritual side of you, or the, yeah, whatever you want to call it, is everything. The one is, you know, the individual is a part of the one, and the one is the collective, you know, like it's, everything is a part of everything. And when you separate from your body, you naturally are going to go back to a version of yourself that remembers that, which is why when you have dreams, it's like, so often you're like, you know, and then this was happening, but it wasn't, but I could feel it, and I could tell, and then we were here, but we weren't really here, but like, it made sense to me. And it was like, and then I was talking with this person, but we weren't really talking. It's because like the rules of physical the physical world don't apply in the dreamscape. And it's like, it's because you're somehow like fucking connected on a different wavelength, you know? And
But where you're going is dependent on your level of subconscious.
What do you mean by level?
Well, like the ability, like how open or closed or how clear it is.
I would agree that depending on what you in this physical world need to, what lessons you need to learn will
Your karma.
will affect what you remember.
Yeah.
But I think that when you go there, that you see everything, remember everything, talk with heaps of different people and beings and all sorts, but you don't get to remember all of those experiences. You wake up and you remember what you need to remember.
Oh my God, so what if like every night we actually die and God's
Yeah.
like, okay, hold
You're doing
up.
good, man.
Like, look at all this and let me just show you this, but like you're only gonna, like in the morning you wake up, you only remember like okay, example.
exactly.
Oh my God. Like he shows you like the full like tape of it.
Yeah, and then you
Okay.
get fucking memory wiped. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm only gonna let you remember like what you need for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like for you.
Yeah, legit. That's how I perceive it.
Oh yes.
Because
Okay.
there's like been heaps of people that talk about stuff like that, like having conversations with people like who is that? I feel really bad. I can't remember.
Well, because
her
sleeping
name.
is the closest you get to death. And they say that's when you're depressed, that's why you sleep a lot. Because you're like, your soul's like dying.
Sure.
Yeah. Dying.
That's wild. I think because I had a dream where I met God. It was like this old ass geezer, and I was doing something like at some sort of weird festival type thing, and I walked past him a couple times, and then and it was like
He just fucking.
he was just in the corner of the room, like nah, right, yeah, basically, I guess. But I kept walking past him, and then I'd be like, "Hey, you like," and then he'd pretty much like just fucking wave his hand like some Jedi mind trick, and I'd be like, "No," and just like continue on. And then eventually I'd walk past him a few times.
The creator of the whole universe
Yeah,
and everything.
and then I looked at him and I was like, "You're God, you're the guy." And he was like, you know? And then he sort of like wiped my brain, and I was like, nah, it's not gonna work. I was like, I'm locked in now. And then he's like, and I was like, so fucking what is it? Like, tell me the secrets of the universe. Like, I wanna know. And he's like, okay. And he grabs a jar of pickles, like a big jar of pickles, glass jar of pickles, right? And a hammer. And he looks at me and he just goes, fun. And then throws the jar in the air, smacks it with the hammer, and I'm thinking it's gonna smash, and then it bounces like a fucking high bounce tennis ball, and like the jar of pickles just bounces around the room, and he's just like, fun, and I'm like, what? And then I was like catching the jar of pickles and then like throwing it back at him, and he was like hitting it with the hammer, and I was just like, this makes no sense, but it's spectacular, and I'm just thoroughly enjoying my experience right now. And yeah, so he.
Oh, there you go.
So the secret to life and the universe is
That
fun.
It makes no sense and just thoroughly enjoy yourself.
Well, yeah, it's like have no expectations and have fun. I think that's what I took from it. And and then he wiped my mind again, and then I forgot. And then then I woke up and I was like, whoa, I met some version of God.
That is classic.
But I mean, you know, fuck. Really, who isn't got a little bit of God in them, you know?
No, we all have God in us. We all do. God is breath. God is the essence of life. We wouldn't be alive if we were not if we were not God.
Oh, so I'm reading a book,
Yeah.
and it's by Jordan Peterson. It's called The 12 Rules of Life.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, Mr. Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I
Okay.
picked it up and thought, oh yeah, I'll just have a little skim of this. Now,
Yeah.
fucking, I read it every day now. And the second rule of life is that I've just finished the chapter last night, actually. It's all about treating yourself like or loving yourself or caring for yourself like you would somebody else, right? Because we always find it so much easier to do that. And he talked about that they did a study of like people that are prescribed medicine, like I don't know, there's like ridiculous rates of like, say maybe like 40%, like under 50% or something like that of people actually take their prescribed medicine, and the rest just like fucking half take it or take a bit every now and then, or don't take it at all, or like forget or whatever. Like, and it was sort of his opening statement of how poorly people in general look after themselves, even when it's like they know that this is definitely going to help them.
Yeah.
Whereas like people that get medicine or prescription or stuff for their child or for their pets was the example that he used, will give the correct dosage and the right thing like 80 to 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Like without even thinking about it,
Yeah.
right? And so he's like, so why is this? And he goes on to sort of talk about the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and broke it down into a couple of parts of like, first Adam and Eve like were created, and they were like animals, like they were just they didn't really have that like thing that humans have that make you, you know, human, right? They were just like these peaceful, beautifully ignorant creatures that were just like roaming around the garden, right? And they were naked, like completely naked. And like, you know, when you're naked and you're just like in a garden and stuff, it's like you'd think there'd be some sense of like, well, you'd think there'd be some sense of like vulnerability that most people do experience, but not everybody does. Obviously, there's a few exceptions to the rule, but in general, if you were just like the first person ever and there was a guy and you were just there and all of a sudden you were just naked, you'd probably be like, whoa, hold up, let's just take a minute here, kid. But they weren't. They were just like, yep, sweet, we're good. So they're just sort of doing their thing, plodding around, not thinking too much at all. And then the serpent shows up, but he had legs at the time. And he goes and talks to Eve. And he's like, hey, just so you know, like, if you go eat that, you know, tree of knowledge of good and evil, then you'll be like God. And, you know, convinces her that it's a good idea, and she's like, all right, well, fuck it, I'll go do it. So she goes and eats it, and immediately becomes self-aware, and is just like, Jesus Christ, like I don't really know how to deal with this. And so the first thing that she does, and as he put it, he's like, no self-aware woman is gonna put up with an ignorant man for very long. So she gets Adam to eat the fruit. And then the first thing that they both sort of realize is that they're naked and they're vulnerable and they're like scared of that. And they're like, oh my God, like, what are we doing out here? Just like in the frickin' jungle, like naked and like, you know, showing everything and stuff. And it's like, oh damn. And so they go get themselves covered up, and then they sort of hide away because they're like, fuck, like God's gonna know that we did this, and we're gonna, and like, oh, now we're just, and we're naked and we're out here, and it's like none of this is like any good at all. And so they hide away, and then that sort of represented the stage of like humans becoming like self-aware. You know what I mean? Like that thing of self-awareness, and when God found out that they'd done it, he was like, motherfuckers, like that's not all good. Like, he's like, well, your punishment is like, for the woman, he's like, you're gonna have to like bear children, and you're gonna have to get that from a man, so you're forever gonna be dependent on them for your reproduction side, and you're gonna have to then care for that kid for, you know, such a huge amount of time. That kid's gonna be dependent on you, and your burden is that you're gonna have to worry. You're just gonna have to be anxious for fucking ever, because you weren't anxious and wary of the snake that was there. You just fucking let it in, let it chirp, let it do its thing, and you didn't think about any of the consequences that might come from it. And now all you're gonna do is worry about the consequences and the dangers of things that could come, right? And then he turned to the man, and he was like, what's your excuse? And he's like, look, man, he's like, I don't even fucking, he's like, Eve's the reason that I did any of this. Like, I was like, I wasn't gonna I wouldn't have done anything, man. I was chilling, but she convinced me to do it. And it's like, Jordan Peterson's like, it's pretty admirable in a way that you could interpret Eve's actions. It's like, she got conned by the best, you know, the devil himself tricked her into eating the fruit. Whereas Adam, it was like, you know, the slight twist of the arm from Eve, and he was like, oh, all right, sweet. And then as soon as all the chips were down, he just turns around and goes and blames Eve, and he's like, this woman, like, she did it all. And then he's like, and you made her from me, so basically it's your fault. And then he blames God. And he's like,
every guy.
Every guy, yeah. And it's because that's what we do when, like, when we experience heartbreak or pain, or we're made to feel small in some sort of way. The first thing we do is curse whatever the fucking problem is and what's happened, and then we look at God and say, fuck you, you'll put me here, it's your fault that I'm suffering. But the last thing we do is look at ourselves, you know, and then when we do, we're like, even then it's still like, well, I'm still mad about it all, you know? And then God's like, your punishment is going to be, you know, because you've now got this perception of good and evil and past and future. You're going to be burdened with always looking into the future and always thinking about what's going to come next. And the price you're going to have to pay is work. You're always going to be preparing for the next thing. You're always going to be making sure that there's stuff for every eventuality, for the worst things that could possibly happen. You're always going to be worried about it and wanting to do the work in order to prepare so that nobody, like, so that your family's ready, you're ready, and that's going to be your punishment, is just constant, like, work. That's your thing. And then, then he freaking banishes them to, like, the regular world, I guess, and then puts up a angel and a flaming sword of truth or something to stop them ever getting back into the Garden of Eden. And so then Jordan Peterson sort of talked about, like, well, so what can we learn from this in terms of, like, why we don't care for ourselves as well as we might somebody else. And it's because, well, part of us knows that we as, like, self-aware humans, right, we're aware of the fact that we're vulnerable, right, that we're naked, and that we can be hurt, and we can and, like, others can hurt us, right? But on the flip side of that, knowing that also gives you the knowledge that you are able to hurt others, and that you can do horrible things to other people, right? And so you've got this thing where you're aware of all of the ways that you can be hurt. You're aware of all of the inadequacies within yourself. You're your own worst, like, critic, and you're like, oh man, like, I'm like, I don't do this, I don't do that. I have these thoughts. I think about this. Sometimes I do this, and, like, nobody knows all of those things about you, but you do. So you're going to be your worst critic, and you're like, well, why am I deserving of any of the good stuff, right? Like, I'm a terrible sort, you know. And then on top of that, you're, like, thinking about all of the other people and the way that you could harm anybody else and do all of that sort of stuff. And you're like, it's another thing on top of the pile of negative thoughts and stuff that you can have about the world and about other people. And you just end up sort of coming to this conclusion where you're like, well, I'm no good. Like, why would I be worthy of anything good, you know? But the flip side of that is that, well, when you look at other people, right, you go, the first thing you think is, like, yeah, look, they might be no good, but look at all of the good things that they do, and they're trying, you know, they're trying their best. And so you're more willing to help other people because you're like, look, man, I know all of the fucking things that go on in my head and all the stuff that I think about, and, like, you know, when I look at you and I see you doing your best, it's like, I can't help but want to help you, because I'm like, I believe in you being a better version of you. I believe in you being the best of yourself and trying to be good despite the fact that we are inherently bad. That's, like, the whole story of Adam and Eve, is that we gave into temptation and we became self-aware. We gained all of this knowledge, and we're burdened with the fact that life is terrible, and in terms of, like, you know, the moral obligation that you have to exist. And it's sort of just about flipping that on its head and being like, well, if I can accept that somebody else can do good, I should also give myself credit for the fact that I do show up every day, that I do this thing and I don't give in to the worst parts of myself that I'm aware of, you know, for the most part. And I do all of these things that make me like that, you know, show that I give a shit and that I care about people around me, and that I have conscious thought constantly about like what I can do to be better and all of that. It's like that in itself is so amazing, and it's not something to be like just brushed off like, oh yeah, well that's just normal, because it's so easy to give into those, like that other side of like, well fuck it, you know. And in a way it's sort of like the moral of the story here is that like, is being good like Adam and Eve were originally before they bit into the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, right? Is being good just inherently really better than choosing to be good when you have a side of you that has all of this knowledge of the bad in the world? Because arguably, I'd say that it's actually more admirable and more amazing of a feat to be able to go through all the hardship of life and suffer and feel all of the pain and do all of that, and then still choose, despite all of those experiences, to be like, well fuck, I'm still gonna do my best to do good and to look after myself first and foremost, which in turn helps everybody else around me, which in a way is like, you know, if you're conquering your own hell and choosing to not go towards hell and go towards heaven, you're doing your part to make sure that humanity as a whole is steered closer towards that direction as well.
But it's also like, it's everything and it's everyone, and that like we wouldn't be on Earth in human form if we didn't have work to do on that's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I definitely did my best, but he worded it a lot better.
I had resistance listening to you say that, because I have some resistance towards Jordan Peterson. Not because I don't agree with what he says, but I also think that some of what he says is skewed from his own bias and his own opinion, like his own upbringing. Like, as everyone's is. I don't know. Irrelevant. But
No, it's relevant.
So it's essentially like, if we all choose to come down to Earth, it's for certain lessons we come here to face. So that is part of the whole, our self-awareness, I think, is more determined on the lesson that we're here in this time round to face. So in the fact that if we choose our parents frame our whole life views. Everyone around us from the moment we're born is shaping the way our thoughts are, the way that we think what love is, and what love is the biggest thing, because how we're taught to love is then in turn how we love others and how we love ourselves.
I'd agree that it becomes our framework, but I don't think it defines us, but continue.
No, because that can always shift and change.
Yeah.
But that's where that's a choice that we have to wake up and shake up.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't choose that, and I think that's dependent on, there is a greater force there, where it's how far along are you in your spiritual journey, because yes, like, I think, like you're saying, like we were all at one point just like good and didn't have that awareness, and I think that's like that nirvana state, that's that once you reach enlightenment, that's what that is.
Right.
But depending on our karma, is we may never reach that state. Like we talked about it before, it's like we're not going to be fully healed in this lifetime. You know, maybe in like the next one, or maybe our children, but children, okay, no wait, children different. But I don't know, I did this Buddha course, and like learning about karma is really interesting, and I feel like I sit more on the karma side than the God side
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
And so that's where it's like, again, talking about the self-awareness and being able to make the choice is all well and good, but I think some things, no, wait. Okay, I've lost my train of thought.
Do you want to see if you can get back on it?
No, I think it's gone. Irrelevant now.
I think it's like an interesting thing to think about in terms of karma, right? In Buddhism, right? The whole concept of that, the basis of it is oneness, right?
Yes.
Right. So I saw this thing the other day, and it was Bashar. Have you seen that channeling dude?
Dude, yeah.
Incredible, crazy, fucking nuggets of gold that guy drops.
Bro, nothing, I'm like, anything, it just like pops up and I'm like...
Yeah, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So
no dispute.
he did this thing, he said this thing the other day, this lady gets up to the mic, she's like, so I'm old, you know, and he's like, what do you mean by that? You don't look that old, what are you talking about? She's like, no, like I'm an old soul. And he's like, right. And what does that mean to you? She's like I've you know, like I've been here before, you know? And he's like, yeah. He's like, but the thing is about this whole concept of old souls is that humans misinterpret it as there being like for whatever reason, certain souls are older than other souls, but it's not true. Every soul is the same age. There is definitely souls that have been to Earth more often than other souls, and that is what will give you the concept of an old soul. But that doesn't mean that soul outside of it hasn't had, like a new soul that might be at Earth for the first time or the first few times, might have a lot of experience elsewhere on a different planet and a different thing, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, like connecting that with the idea of like oneness, it's like, so, you know, because he's like, all souls are a part of the one, and all souls have that, are God. Like, it's not like there's a separation where it's like, oh, you're off learning now, and when you get to a certain level of experience, then you'll become me. It's like you are separated intentionally without being completely separated from God. You're always God, you're always part of the one and part of the whole. You always know everything, are omnipotent, omniscient, all of that shit. But it's an experience. That's the point of doing it. It's not because you have things to learn. It's because you want to go through the experience to relearn in order to have the experience, just for the point of experiencing. Not because you're burdened with the journey of having to get to a certain level of experience before you're allowed to be God again. It's not that. It never has been that. And the beautiful part about the thing about karma is, in my perspective, I don't know, I haven't been into it or reading up as much on it as you have, or to be honest, but my perspective of it is like that you 100% will have an experience of karma, and it could be because of something that happened in your past lifetime, or it could be because of the run-on effect of what has happened in your parents' lifetime or their parents' lifetime. And
nothing to do with our parents.
Okay, well, however it works in terms of your, like, in terms of it being something that...
Essentially, karma is
Sorry, can I just finish this run of thought?
Yeah.
So, like, your experience of karma is the exact same as your experience of life. It's all about you having an experience and learning a certain lesson in order for your soul to come out of here and be like, well, that was a fucking trip, you know? Glad I signed up for that journey. You know, that was cool. And now I'm going to continue on. But it's not as if, like, like I said before, it's not as if you have to go through anything in particular in order to get to a point where you can become one with God again. It's like you always are. You're just having an experience, and your karma isn't a punishment. It's just a part of the flavor of the life that you chose. It's not something you're trying to pay off or make up for. It's just part of the experience. It's necessary to have those things because that's what makes it interesting. You know, dark and light, chaos and order. It's like if it was all order, it'd be boring, and if it was all chaos, it would be terrifying. So it's like you just picked a mix. You pick a mix and you jumped in the bag and you went for a ride and you came out and you're like, whoa, what a trip. That was fucking sick, you know? That's my perspective on it. So what are you going to say about karma is basically, or do you kind of agree with what I'm saying there?
No, I kind of do. And so, because this is what I was dabbling with during like learning about it. I was like, we're not talking, we're trying to be like, we're not religious, so we don't have like a God that we follow and we don't have all these rules, but then it's like kind of sounding a little bit religious in some aspects.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're saying is like, but then it goes back to one thing, is like every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Right. So essentially that's how I perceive karma more so now. It's just like the onward thought.
What
like
you put out, you get back.
Yeah, and that's just anything.
Right.
That's just, it's not like this big grandiose like, oh, I don't know, cheated, so now I'm going to get in a car accident. Or like, maybe, yeah. But like it's more on the smaller scheme. It's like every thought, same as manifestation, like what you think is what you attract. How you act is what you attract, like your vibration. Like it's more, it's all, I don't know, but it's the past life thing, because this is where maybe I disagree, because I think dependent on where we were at when we died in our past life is where we're born into now.
Right.
So like it's not as much as like, oh, let's go experience all these things. It actually is like, oh, we're coming down here with a purpose to experience all these things so that we don't repeat, or we do repeat. And that's where the old soul comes in, because you feel like an old soul because you're not fucking addressing what's happening in your life. So you're repeating the same fucking lesson every single time you come down here.
Right.
That's why it feels old. It doesn't feel new, because you're repeating this karmic cycle. You're not allowing yourself to get out of it.
Right. What, do you agree that that the lessons never end? That it's not, so say you learn the lesson, you'd continue on and go find another lesson to learn, right?
Yeah.
And the purpose of it all is to eventually learn all of the lessons, right?
Yes.
So once you learn all of the lessons, which
then we're not coming back to Earth. We're going elsewhere.
Right. So this is the thing, is like, once you, hypothetically, like say you learn all of the lessons, that would kind of suggest that you've been all of the people, right?
Yeah.
And so once you've done that, and then you don't come back to Earth, you go to a different planet, right? You do a different thing, right? And in this concept of this, right, time is insignificant. It's infinite, and it's happening all at once. You get to experience everything, be everybody, right? So in the idea of a cycle, technically, you get to be everything and be everyone on every planet, everywhere, all the time, all at once, right? So how can you also attach the idea of you learning something that you haven't already learnt before to that? Because technically you're going to be everyone and be everything. So why would what happened in your past life be significant? Well, because it's recent maybe, or because it's a part of the fact that when you're in this life, you're doing a certain X, Y, Z, and you need to have a little bit of that past stuff going on. But within the concept of oneness, it's like, well, I mean, what lesson are you trying to learn? I'm pretty sure at this point, you're just experiencing for the sake of it, because you're already God. This is what I mean. Like, you don't need to crack the whip on yourself and be like, oh, I got stuff to figure out. It's like, no, you don't. You got stuff to forget, man. You gotta stop fucking trying to make it so you're going through some gauntlet, you know? Like, life's fun. Like, don't fucking make it a difficult, arduous task. It's like, you can if you want to, if that's the experience you want to have. If you want it to be a karmic cycle loop of fucking hardship, then that's fine. But you can also look at it and be like, well, yeah, there's going to be chaos and things I can't predict. But like you said, what you put out is what you get back. So if you constantly think I'm in a karmic cycle and I have lessons to learn that are like the reason why I can't be God yet, well then that's your experience.
Yeah.
But if you say I'm already God and I'm just here experiencing this and having fun and whatever comes my way, I'll accept it for what it is, love it and continue on, then that's your experience.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, up to you, dude. Up to you, but yeah. That's my perspective.
Brain's taking No, because I agree, but then I'm also, I don't know, I'm just learning, so.
It's just words.
I'm trying to give it, I know.
It's very different to actually feeling and knowing, and you're naturally going to take on board what you will take on board, just like I do when people tell me stuff, because I'm having an experience, you know, and so are you. And it's like, maybe completely understanding where I'm coming from isn't part of your experience.
No.
But I mean, the truth of it is that nobody ever completely understands where anybody's coming from.
Exactly. Because, you know, the more I think about words, I'm like,
Poor tools, eh?
yeah.
Poor tools for communication.
No, but the vibration, and I'm like, are they just keeping it stuck down? No, just.
Have you ever listened to Alan Watts when he's like, so this is the thing. I do think I'm not going to wave this flag any more than this exact moment, right? But as a side note, I think that Jordan Peterson is like grossly misinterpreted by a lot of people because of social media. Right. Because of the fact that there's so many short snippets of him, it's like, it's so easy to create an image on that dude. Because there's so many images of him.
No, I think he's great, but I also feel like he carries a lot of pain, and he's speaking, and to speak from about so much, like, you have to have so much pain. So then maybe this is my like little judgment or cursor on him. Yeah, but I think some of it is a little bit too in the pain.
Right.
Whereas, like, I don't know if going back to the love and the God is his definition of love and God a bit not quite love and God.
Right. I think from what
is he a bit too serious? I'm not too serious. I think maybe he's a little bit too serious.
I think from my perspective, it's like he
needs to bring the fun in.
No, this is the thing, right? Is that Jordan Peterson speaks about like pain as a foundational truth of life.
Yeah.
Not something that is all that exists. He's just like, no matter what experience you're having, as any sensible adult will acknowledge the fact that pain is a part of life.
Yeah.
Because you got bills to pay, you got shit to do, there's work to be done.
Yeah.
But he's like, that doesn't mean that life's bad, and it doesn't mean that it's bleak. The sooner that you can accept the fact that that's a part of it and still love and see the truth that you have a choice to overcome that pain and exist in happiness anyway, that's when your life becomes like something worth living. Mm-hmm. Is because you're like, man, there's so much bad shit that could go on and that could happen, but I'm just gonna like continue on and have a positive perspective regardless. Mm. And it's like, but the root of that is accepting the fact that pain's there and not being ignorant to it. It's like, would you rather have a protected kid or a prepared kid?
Prepared.
You know, are you going to teach them that life's all fluffy ducks, or are you going to be like, look, man, sometimes you're going to fucking fall over.
Yeah.
Keep going, you know, like, and that, I think that's his perspective. But anyway, the reason I brought it up is because I was going to talk about Alan Watts, right? Mm. And we're talking about how poor of a, of a tool that words are to describe existence, right? Mm. And the reason Jordan Peterson jumped into my mind is because it connects. They have a similar. You guys, seriously? We get it, okay?
Get out of it. Speaking to us.
I know. And I don't. We can't translate, okay? All I hear is mine.
Mine.
So, birds in the trees, can't control them. Treat it like your thoughts. So, Alan Watts. Every time that he describes the way in which we perceive the world, typically he talks about symbols. He's like, we actually just see the world in symbols. We have ideas that we've made up to explain what reality is, when in reality, life is actually, and then he just hits a gong. He never says what it is. He's always just like, life is boom. He's like, and that's it. He's like, and we don't need to have a word for it, but we put words to it and create ideas and all of that, because that's how society functions. It's what makes things work. It's what helps us communicate and make sure that shit doesn't burn down. We go, look, this is what things are. Yeah. But we forget sometimes that we've created those symbols in order for that purpose and not to actually describe what life is. Yeah. And Jordan Peterson similarly says that the majority of life that we experience is actually just memory. It's not experience. It's like you see things, like you can't see a word without reading it, right? You can't just look at it. And he's like, but whereas...
Mail, you hurt me. I don't like you.
Yeah, bad experience, memory. You, no good. Bad juju, right? Yeah. But it's like when you have an experience like a psychedelic experience, it's almost like he described it like, it's like fight or flight. It's like your brain is immediately put into a state of like, holy shit, I have to make sure that I'm aware, because your brain's just like, what is going on? Your brain just deletes the filter of memory, and it's like, I just have to be like open to every possibility right now. I have to be like, look, anything's possible, and because I need to find a way out of here, right? Because like, this is nuts. And then that's when you'll have those crazy experiences where like, you look at things differently, you restructure stuff, and you can come back out of it, and then you've got new embedded memories and fucking neurological pathways and things that you've created that you're like, oh no, now when I think of this, I'll go this way. But that's still a memory. And it's like, meditation is like this moment of recognition and remembrance of the fact that like, your thoughts are a system that has been designed to recognize symbols and create an understanding of the world through conversation with self. Yeah. And meditation is a way of telling your literal voice, your outside voice, and your inside voices to shut up, because like that's not it. Yeah. It never has been it. It's always been the fucking dong. Yeah. And that's where it's like the whole concept of the Garden of Eden thing. Like Jordan Peterson isn't necessarily Christian, I don't think. He talks about like, just like we will always overlap and go back and forth. He talks about how things that are inherently true will show up in so many different aspects of human life, in art, in philosophy, in music, in like science. Like the same themes will reoccur through different experiences. Yeah. Exactly, religion. And that's how you can sort of look at something and go, well, maybe there is something to that. Not that anything definitely is, but like, well, maybe there is. Yeah. And his biggest one that it seems to show up in everything is like chaos and order. Typically defined as male and feminine being all matter of all things, like fucking the everything that we're in.
And it's to find that balance in between.
And so the line in between yin and yang is like, is the path of life. Yeah. And it's like about having a foot on either side, a foot firmly like fucking deep in what you know, and something that can keep you stable and like being a thing, and then another foot in complete chaos and like being willing to put your toe on the other side and be like, I don't fucking know anything about this, so I'm trying it, like, and then fucking having a little adventure down there. But it's like, there's no way of describing it. Words are stupid. It's just like an exercise in futility for the fuck of it. But it does contribute, like it contributes to you coming back to the original Garden of Eden, right? But with a conscious mind, instead of being the animalistic version of Adam and Eve that are just like, oh yeah, we're here and it's great and it's bliss, like the seagulls. Yeah. It's like, instead you go back to the Garden of Eden and you can actually fucking appreciate it. You can actually go back and walk with God and be like, look man, I'm not ashamed of the fact that I'm naked. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I'm vulnerable and that I have all of these fucking terrible thoughts and life is confusing and painful and I have to experience it. Instead, I'm just going to be fucking grateful for all of that. Yeah. I'm going to love regardless. And it's like, I think if there is a lesson on earth that we're trying to learn, it's probably that.
Yeah.
And
No, that is. Earth School was like the school of love. Like that unconditional God remembrance. So we come here to remember.
It's just so interesting, the irony of it all, though, right? Is like you and I can have a conversation about this,
And we'll go about my dad.
yeah, and then just go continue on. But that's the thing about life, is that the point of it isn't necessarily to come to a conclusion.
And
It's not like you one day just like me and you say the right combination of words and we just ascend.
oh my God.
Yeah, imagine that. And then so the point is to just love, and then it's like whoa, we just start floating into the sky like we did it.
No.
We fucking did it. Then you just look down at somebody else and go ha, and then you just fall like the fucking in the end movie.
Concussion.
Yeah. Wake up in another life.
No, but I feel like life is not getting easier, but
As you get older, you mean, or like?
no, just I feel like for me in general, or not that I've like all of a sudden seen it, but I think something's clicked in where I'm like, oh, that love piece is really like, if you can see everyone from a loving way, then it becomes a bit easier. It doesn't disguise from the fact that people are shit and life can be shit. Mm-hmm. But if you can react to it with love instead of bitterness and like resentment and like ickness and like it's that victim self, I feel like has really just dissipated or is dissipating in my life, where I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm like.
Can I flip what you just said to like a really like what I think is the reality of what you're saying? Like, is that what you just said there was like, if you can look at people and love them, you know, that's when things start to get easier. But I think realistically is what you've done is you've looked at yourself and you've loved you, and you've looked at all of the ickness and all of the things that and the gross things that you can do and be and decisions you can make, and you've gone, look, I'm going to see the positive and I'm going to love myself anyway. And then now, because of having done that self-work and spending the time doing that, when you look out at the world, you're like, oh, this is getting a bit easier.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Because you're fucking looking after yourself. Life's becoming a bit more beautiful out here. It's like, yeah, it's because it's fucking reflecting what's inside. And good on you. Well done. You know? It doesn't mean you still don't have those thoughts. It doesn't mean every day you don't still wake up and choose not to fucking go deep into your vices again. You don't still have to do work to stay on top of it and stay within your good space and all of that. You still have to.
Yeah.
You got to accept that you're always going to have that side of you. But it doesn't mean it's in control. It doesn't mean that it dictates the experience you have.
Yeah.
And that's the juice,
That's
man.
the beauty.
And then you
of
look
it.
out at other people and you're like, oh wow. People are getting nicer and the days are getting sunnier. It's not winter anymore. How lovely. Then when you're in winter, you're like, look, you've got to have winter. It's an essential part of it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is.
I want to ask you a question too while we got these mics on.
Oh, these furry little things.
Yeah, not that it's any pressure, but the reason I got these mics is so I can do the conversation with people.
Oh.
So I thought I'd ask you,
Okay.
what do you think about food, water and shelter being free?
And
if you want to meditate for like 5 minutes
wait.
and then drop in some knowledge bombs, we can do that.
Okay.
All right.
Haley, what do I think about food, water, and shelter being free?
Yeah.
Okay.
In some shape or form.
I feel like it already is.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it is free. We just, like, if we wanted to, that tree could be our shelter.
Right.
If we wanted to, we could find a tree that bears fruit and we would have food. Mm-hmm. What was the other one?
Water.
Water. Duh.
Just putting it at the ocean. You want to go grab a glass of that and drink it for me?
It's free.
Yeah, but it's not water that you can drink.
Why not?
Sorry, edible food, drinkable
Okay,
water.
well, wait for it.
Sustainable shelter.
When it rains, we'll put it in a bucket.
Put out a bucket. Yeah.
And the water shall be free.
So I can't disagree with anything you're saying. Because it is. But is that the water you consume, the food you eat, and the shelter that you live under, Emily?
No, because I'm choosing to participate in a
society.
lifestyle, in a society
Okay.
that functions on economical gain.
Right.
I am contributing to that society. At any point, I can exit.
Yeah.
And those things are true. So
That's fucking sick. I don't know. I look, man. I got no points to make. You're not wrong.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
So,
Yeah.
but maybe to reframe it, if society is to make those things free.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose that was the unspoken part of the question. I think that's a really cool point, though. That's fucking valid. It's so true. They are free, fucking idiot. You choose to pay for them because you want to stay in a home and you want to fucking get shit from the
And
supermarket
you want comfort.
and not have to forage.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you did right. You did right. So let's hypothetically say I want comfort and free shit because I'm just greedy like that. What do you think about it?
Well, I think that it's possible and it's attainable and essentially can make that happen. However, there's going to be a cost somewhere else down the line. Nothing is entirely, to now contradict myself, nothing is entirely free. Like you said, like even if I was to exit out and take the free stuff then I'm losing out on all the comforts that society offers.
Yeah, that's what you pay.
So it's more the idea of things being free. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's the how should I put it? That's the order within the chaos of this idea, and I find it really interesting that it makes sense. It's practical that people always go, "Well, how's it going to work?" You know, it's like where does it work? But I suppose the question is more like, is there a point in trying to figure that out? That's the question. It's like,
Well, it's already figured out. Like at any point, the government could be like, "Hey, no more water tax. Hey, you guys, you know what? We're gonna give you $300 a week, and that's on us."
Right. But this is the thing: is like the government is a group of people that are working for the people. They're governed by the people. So it's like, if you want the government to do something, you need people to ask for that, right? So that's why I'm like, yeah, it's how it works. It's like you can do a public. I don't know what it's called. It's like a public or
So is this where we keep ourselves trapped in our own suffering?
Yeah, 100%. That's
okay.
Because you can do a thing called like a citizens initiate referendum. That's what it's called.
Oh,
so I could.
words.
Yeah, I know. I learned those words and they just came back to me now. Yeah, I know. I love it. Memory. It's working great. So what that means is that I could be like, okay, I want to do a citizens initiate referendum on there being subsidies as a start, just to keep it simple, rather than just going for like free food straight off the bat. So let's say subsidies on all staple foods like meat, milk, bread, you know, like bottled water, like anyone that purchases those at supermarkets, they will be automatically subsidized by the government and it'll cost you next to nothing to get those things, right?
Okay.
And then I would have to go and get 10,000 signatures. And then once I get that, then I can take it to a panel, who takes it to a panel, who takes it to a panel, who takes it to the government, who then put it out to the entire country to vote on whether it should be a thing.
Okay.
And that's how democracy works.
Right.
So
why has no one done this?
That's what I'm saying. We should do that.
So why are we having this conversation when you should be doing this?
Because, okay, so this is my perspective, right? Is that if you want something like that to happen...
We want pain and suffering.
Yeah, so I have to have 10,000 conversations so I can get 10,000 signatures so that I can put this forward.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at.
My little asterisk is that organic.
Yeah.
What is the quality?
Sweet, yeah.
I'm not just like, don't just give me any.
Don't subsidize shit, chemical food.
No.
Subsidize the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, deal. I'm
Gotcha.
down for that.
Yeah, I'm a part of that.
That's a good asterisk.
I'll sign on that.
Man. We got him. But yeah, that's like my whole that's my whole deal. I'm just like, well, do people want it? You know? Because if they do, let's just do it. Why are we not doing that?
No, exactly. And so then that is what we're perpetuating, is that that, oh, we're not deserving of this thing, so we need to work and we have to give up.
Yeah, shit's expensive.
But then are we perpetuating it? Because then if we were to exit and do it all and forage and all that, then we're giving up.
All the good stuff, all
Yeah.
the comforts. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, is like, keep the comforts, give yourself the self-worth to be like, well, actually, I know that I'm willing to pay for all of the other comforts. I'm willing to work my ass off for the rest of my life for all of the other comforts. But I don't think I should work my ass off to have fuel to work my ass off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that, yeah, it just makes sense to my brain. And like the whole point of me getting these mics is so that I can have this conversation with people really easily without having to set up a whole podcast thing. Because really, the key of this is like,
Was mine even working? It's been covered.
well,
Hello?
like, that's part of the test. We're gonna find out. You know, I'd much rather it be like you're not thinking about it than you
Yeah.
are. You
Yeah.
know, like if it's out there, that's great. And
Yeah.
if it's not, then it's like I'll learn.
Yeah.
And that's part of the process as well. But I think that if I can, so you know, you get 10,000 signatures, right? But if I spoke to
So
somebody,
wait, you get 10,000 signatures and it goes to where?
it'll go to like a I don't fully know the rankings of the systems and stuff,
Right.
but it basically goes to a board of people that vote on
But like that's the thing, it should be a given. I feel like
a lot of shit's like, there's a lot of people that do citizens initiate referendums, I think, and so it's like,
Yeah.
what do we want to focus on? It's not like, well, we're not doing this ever. It's more like, well, this seems a bit more pressing. There's 300,000 people that have signed for this one.
Yeah.
It's like that. I think that means people want this a bit more versus mine, which might have 10,000.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm like.
But
if-
it would change the whole system, because then there's an argument of, oh, just go and work on income and then you get, you know, subsidised and you get money and you get,
so this
you
is
know, and the free milk or whatever they give to the kids.
this is my argument there, right? Because there's systems in place, right, for people that have nothing and need something, and I think that's a really good thing to have.
Yeah.
My perspective is that,
So there's
firstly,
something to the people that have something too.
yeah, because firstly, there's a real argument psychologically. It's proven that nothing given is ever appreciated as much as something that's earned.
100%. Yeah.
Secondly, it's like if you give or help out people that naturally have a desire to earn, because I don't think people are inherently lazy or don't want to do anything because that's just the way they are. I think it's because of the way that they've been raised and not
trauma, the
ADHD,
ADHD,
and
the
whatever
they-
experiences
yeah.
they've had that's made them not love themselves enough to be like, I need to go work in order to fucking pay for myself because I deserve
PTSD,
better shit. I
CPD,
deserve
yeah.
more stuff. I
Yeah.
deserve to have a more comfortable life. Instead, they're just like, look, man, I'll take what I'm given and I'll fucking figure it out, and I'm not going to work because I don't think that I deserve the fruits of that labor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, you know, you can look at it a million other ways, but I think that's the truth when you bring it down to the root of it.
Yeah.
And when you've got people that have been fortunate enough to be in a position where they've been raised in a certain way or spent the time figuring out after having been raised a terrible way and being like, well, look, I'm not taking this. I'm going to fucking figure my shit out and I'm going to do my stuff. And then get themselves in a position where they're fucking keeping their head above the water. It's like, I'm just saying those people deserve a hand too. They deserve to have something to stand on. They might not have a full island out of the water that they're lavishly lying upon, but they might have to like stop kicking as hard. And it's like, at least then they've got a chance to grab a grip and maybe like, you know, when they're working and they get to the end of the week, they don't feel so cheated when it's like the majority of the effort that they've put in goes towards the ability to give more effort and not treats, you know? It's like, why is that a bad thing? And realistically, everything that people will spend their money on from there out, that isn't, you know, the subsidized food that they would usually spend the majority of their money on, is going to be like highly fucking taxable goods, which is great for the economy. It's like, I'm going to go buy a fucking PlayStation. I'm going to buy cigarettes and alcohol. I'm going to fucking do whatever you want to do to, you know, you could say waste your time, but experience life. I'm going to buy travel. I'm going to go do a tiki tour around New Zealand and go to different fucking beaches and places and spend my money in little communities. Like, that people will do things with their time and with their money that will inevitably benefit our
The
country.
economy.
So it's like why are we just making everybody spend all their money on being able to keep getting
We're
more
not
money, to
rooted
spend
in
more
love.
money
We're
on
rooted
getting more
in
money?
fear, and I think the fear is that if people have more money, then they will work less. Like it's
Yeah, but that's just not true.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case, which this is the thing, there is a percentage of people that work less and have less money,
true.
and they choose that life.
True.
And everybody that doesn't want that life works every day. All I'm saying is like,
True.
fucking give them the benefit of the doubt and just assume they're gonna keep going. And then everybody gets uplifted, but the bottom line just isn't as low as it was before.
Yeah. Okay. So then this is just like nonsensical. Is that the word?
But I smoked a lot of fucking weed, and
When?
I thought
Oh.
just the last 10 years, roughly.
Oh no! Wait. I thought you meant recently.
Nah, not recently. But
Yeah.
no, I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and it got to the point where I was like, I've done so many circles in my mind that it keeps coming back to this, and it makes so much fucking sense that I'm just like, I gotta stop having this conversation with myself.
Yeah.
I gotta start talking to people and see whether or not it makes sense to other people. But I'm not gonna try to convince people.
Wouldn't.
I just want to explain where I'm coming from, and if people are like, that makes sense, then I'm like, sick. And if they're like,
But
you're
genuinely,
crazy,
though,
then I'll
do
be
you
like, all right.
actually feel like you're going to have a conversation with someone and they're going to be like, no, I don't think those things are a given? Is that...
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I've had people that are like, that have replied and just been like, you're a fucking idiot.
What?
The entire economy like runs off farming. So how are you going to figure that out? And that's where I'm like, well, like I said to you before, it's like this conversation isn't about the process of figuring out how it works. It's the process of figuring out whether people want to try figure out how it works. It's like, it's the step before that. It's
Gotcha.
like, do you think we should do this? Because if you do, then let's figure it out. If you don't think we should do this, then we'll fucking drop it. But I'm like, I just want to see.
Yeah.
I think out of how many people we got to meet? 5 million people in New Zealand, bro? Like, fuck, there's got to be 10,000 people that are like, yeah.
All the boomers then be like, right, you work for what you get.
The boomers, mate, they've probably, debatably, they've got the most to gain from all of this. It's like, fuck, how much of your pension goes towards groceries?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, there's not a lot of money there, mate.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking, how about you spend it on actually enjoying the last part of your life?
Yeah.
Never thought of that until this moment, but that came out
Just
real good.
rich. That is a good argument for them.
Yeah, but I guess that's the thing.
Interesting.
It's not an argument. It's just a conversation. And if people really want to make it happen, then it'll happen. But I really want to just be a source of it. I just want to be somebody that's starting it and being like, man, this could be a thing that could make a real big difference. And it could be something that the rest of the world looks at New Zealand and goes, fuck, that's a mean idea.
Well, have you
I'm
looked
moving there.
into Sweden and like other countries, like? Cause
Nah.
Is Sweden
They're
like
pretty incredible over there in Europe.
Netherlands? Like, you should do that and see what their
Systems are.
yeah. Because it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That it should be that way.
I think that's the thing though. It's like
We need facts. We need supporting. Like, what are other countries doing? Like,
yeah, like supporting evidence.
yeah.
I agree. I also think that
But I think your argument alone that people are going to spend more money on holidays and ciggies, and that should be enough for the government to be like, yeah, cig tax, let's go, everyone's going to start smoking, yeah. It'll be fine.
yeah, let's get everybody fucking rolled. Yeah, but that's the thing too. It's like it doesn't have to be harmful goods.
No.
There'll obviously be a whole bunch of shit that people like.
Holidays, yeah. That's such
just
a big
generally traveling around.
one. Yeah.
Going to a small town beach place and just parking up for a weekend. It's like, that's massive for that community.
Yeah.
The fact that you spend 2 nights there, go out for lunch, go to a cafe, go to a bar for dinner and get a freaking, meal with the family or whatever,
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, like, groceries are taxed for the government. It's weird. Because I feel like the running of the country would collapse because if it's going into the people's back pockets, it's not going into the government's back pockets. So this is where I think why it's not already happened.
Yeah, but what's the difference, It's like, we definitely like...
I don't know, we're in debt, aren't we?
Look, man, everyone's always in debt. It's how the world works. It's like you borrow money from the
That's what I
central
mean,
bank.
it's all fucking made up, so it's like,
Yeah.
come on, why don't we just
Why
fucking...
don't we fucking make it so it's made
Like,
up to
stop
work for
being
us?
so serious, Chris. Just, like, take some shrooms, relax, like, grow that debt, because, like, really, are we ever going to have to pay it back? No.
It's a concept. It's a concept of control for the purpose of sustaining an economy in a way that can...
I don't even think it's sustaining the economy actually now, because the economy is made up. We're always going to be in debt.
Yeah,
That is
but
true.
but this is the
It's
thing though. We made it up
it's the
for
mind.
we made it up for a reason though, you know? It's like I don't want to be one of those people that's just like it's all a conspiracy and
But it came from somewhere, and if we go back to the origins, why'd they kill Jesus?
They killed him because he was different.
And he was like, come on, Peter, come on, Simon, I'm freeing you of your debt. Follow me.
Yeah, let's kick it.
Then stop paying taxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who got scared?
The Jews.
The Romans.
Well,
Who killed him?
Technically the Jews.
Well, they got more. They were more.
They were like, this guy's dangerous. The Romans were like, we'll kill him. And they were like, well, let's not go that far. And then it was like, it's too late. We're doing that. Fuck this guy.
Yeah, but because he.
Good thing Jesus is fucking
Dope.
got a couple lives.
Yeah.
Bounce back. He was like, psych. You thought you had me, but I was so cool with it. God gave me a fucking second life, yo. I'm running it back. Respawn, motherfucker. What are you gonna do with your second life? Nah, I'm fucking out of here. You guys are dicks. Good luck, though. Remember everything I said. I just want to say that. I just came back to say I fucking told you so. Later. What a guy. Yeah.
Oh. No, but I think it does go back to that deeper meaning of like, people just want us to pay tax in one way or another.
But this is the thing though, is that you can never separate yourself from people. That's probably the biggest thing that I was making, like the biggest mistake that I've...
No, I know, that's what I'm saying.
No, I mean in terms of like, when I was smoking all the time, is I'd be like, man,
People was just me though.
Yeah, there's other people fucking everything up, and it's like, yeah, but like, bro, you're a part of the system,
That's
bro.
why
You're a part
it's
of
change your thinking, and the ripple out will affect everyone else.
Exactly.
So let's not overanalyze everyone else right now, because it's just silly.
But that's the hard part about a big picture idea, is you have to include everybody.
Yeah.
But I'm like, rather than trying to assume what everybody
Jesus,
thinks.
can you come back and help us out? Because you would really help our point.
I'm right here, man. That's the truth of it, though. Eh? It's like you're right here
Psych!
too. Do you know
does that mean I'm Mary?
What? No. Jesus was androgynous, which is a new word I learned, which means he's male and female.
And female.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he's got the long hair and wears the skirts.
Yeah.
Sexy as fuck.
Maybe,
No, because he
something
is
like
the
that.
balance of the masculine and the feminine.
Yeah.
It's not like androgynous as in like he's a dude that wears the fancy skirts, like I just said.
That's a hermaphrodite. I think that's what you're thinking. Androgynous just means like not specified in sexuality. In his story terms. I don't know what non-specified and I think that's non-binary these days.
But again, I think that's just another word to be like, bro, this dude wasn't manly man.
Well, I think it's more just like you need both parts, and one shouldn't hate on the other because it needs that to exist. Right? Fucking feminist warrior over here, down with the patriarchy.
I'm more masculine. I've realised recently I'm way more masculine than I am feminine, so I'm really just hating on myself.
Yeah. Isn't that a funny loop? Never heard that one before. Yeah.
We're working on it. We're really trying to heal that wounded.
I'm more feminine, I'd say.
100%.
But I've become this year more than ever been stepping into that masculine. It's been mean.
Yeah.
So good. It's trippy, but it's good. I'm about to start doing jiu-jitsu.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jessie asked me if I wanted to try that with her.
I just need something, eh? I've just realised I feel extremely vulnerable and weak, and I don't like that anymore.
Yeah.
It was cool when I was like, no, I'm good. I can just get by with my wits. And now I'm
No.
like, nah, I want to be able to fuck someone up and choose not to, you know?
Yeah.
Rather than being like, because that's the thing, it's like being like not choosing violence without the capacity to do it is no, it's null. It's not a choice. You don't have the option.
Yeah.
But like being able to like have the knowledge of something.
I could kill you, but I'm gonna love you anyway.
Yeah, but I'm gonna love you anyway.
It's a way stronger power.
Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, you know?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's a good one, eh?
Yeah. Like a little smiley face.
I'm gonna stop this because it's been an hour 15, but that doesn't mean we have to go.
Oh, no.